'Twas the night before Christmas, and all through the house everyone was cheering because Biden would soon be out. Yes, only a few more short weeks, and Joe Biden is no longer the El Presidente of the United States. Pretty much everyone is cheering about this. Liberals are going to try to memory hole the entire goddamn administration. And it's going to be hilarious, by the way, link in the description, archived of course. It's going to be very funny because the liberals have effectively thrown him under the bus, and Kamala to an extent as well. Biden bad because he stayed in too long, knowing that he couldn't cut it, and then you have the disastrous debate performance, and then that hobbled Kamala Harris. That's sort of the line they're going with. Now, it's funny because these same commentators, by and large, were telling us that Biden was a really, really strong dude, a tough dude. He'll still beat up Corn Pop and stuff like that. They did that for an extended period of time for the first 3 years of his presidency, the asterisk administration, rather, his stewardship. He's keeping the throne warm for the incoming of someone who's actually been properly elected. And he persecuted his political opponents through censorship, through lawfare, everything else under the sun. The Mar-a-Lago raids, timing was not coincidental, etc., etc., etc. Even Eric Adams, who might be pardoned by Donald Trump in a move of astonishing hilarity, even he got persecuted. This happened over and over. Commentators online, hell, some of us are still being algorithmically demoted. It's still happening. The throttling back of censorship is not, unfortunately, complete. This was literally fomented by the FBI and similar government agencies. You have had all sorts of differential enforcement within the law. You had a shit economy. You had a shit foreign policy. You had a shit border policy. Nothing that could go wrong didn't go wrong under the Biden administration. Even liberals realize this. They might be more quiet about it, and they might be like, well, he tried, an attempt was made, basically, but even they realize the Biden administration was a fucking joke the entire time. And it was a fucking joke the entire time. The fact is that Joe Biden didn't even govern. From day one of his administration, he was barely in charge. News the other day. Jill Biden was literally mocking Kamala Harris with her joy reference in her speech at a dinner. And that was hysterical, by the way. And the Bidens never really liked Kamala Harris anyway. She was a DEI hire. Then she failed. She's a continuation of the same administration because, of course, she's the vice president of the United States. She ran one of the most disastrous campaigns in U.S. history and got absolutely crushed by someone that the entire system labeled Adolf Hitler's retarded cousin. You could not get worse. I'm not surprised that the snap polling done by, I think it was the AP, but I can't remember, showed that American people believe that Joe Biden was the worst president in modern history. Now, over time, as people forget about all the crazy shit that happened under Joe Biden, the invasion of Ukraine, the border crisis, the crime, etc., etc. I mean, it would be hard to list any accomplishments of the administration because there are none. Over time, they'll become a little bit more warm, maybe, towards the Biden administration, just as they did towards Trump, by the way. He was rated the worst president when he was outgoing. Now he's remembered a little bit more fondly. I have a feeling after his second term, he'll be rising up in those presidential rankings, at least among the populace, not among political scientists or anything like that. They'll consider him to be at the very bottom, below, Buchanan and Biden anyway, because Orange Man bad. But the fact is that the Biden administration was an unmitigated failure. Looking at past administrations, I can find some redeeming value even to the ones that fucking sucked. For example, Barack Obama stood out of the way of an energy boom. He was being pressured by so-called environmentalist left-wing groups to stop fracking, for example, and to stop exploratory drilling. And he ignored them, much to his credit, leading to an energy boom in the United States. It wasn't just Trump that caused that energy boom. Obama gets partial credit for it as well. George W. Did he start the Iraq War and the Afghanistan War that were so disastrous? Yes. Was he a chucklehead that didn't know what the fuck he was doing half the time? Of course he was. But at the same time, he was very, very good with diplomacy in certain parts of the third world, being combative with China in the process, and never even generated any real headlines for that, which was interesting. If you look at Jimmy Carter, at the very least post-presidency, and some of the stuff that happened during his presidency wasn't really his fault anyway, at the very least he's eradicated the guinea worm for the most part. So again, there's a redeeming quality to all of the other presidents that have ever held office, other than a couple of the carpetbaggers from the 19th century. I can't find a single redeeming facet to the Biden administration. It simply doesn't exist. He did nothing right. There is none. Border? No. Diplomacy? There's no major gains there. Selling off, a shit ton of stuff to Ukraine? Okay, yeah, that's so great. It's such a great accomplishment. The Infrastructure Act. Shovel ready on steroids. Only this time it cost 10 times as much money. Yeah, how wonderful that's been. It's really improved the economy, by the way. There are no actual accomplishments. Not a single one in the entire administration. The one thing, if I had to give a redeeming quality to the Biden admin, the one thing that he managed to accomplish was actually a suggestion. He never followed through with it, but it was at least a good suggestion, and that's to try to bury power lines and things like that in order to protect them from disasters and bad weather and stuff like that. But it was never actually done. They didn't bury the power lines. They didn't do jack shit. So even the one suggestion that he made that actually made good sense to me, it would have been a worthy investment, was never actually done at all. Instead, you just get a bunch of wars, a bunch of regulation, a bunch of bullshit, basically. The Biden administration could be called the bullshit administration, and it would be pretty goddamn apt. So, yeah, Merry almost Christmas. Thank goodness it's ending soon. That's about all. Peace out.